Sound check.
Video check. And we're live.
هاي everyone واهلا وسهلا فيكم بحلقه جديده من The Y&J Show. انتوا تعودتوا علينا كل مره بنجيب ضيف مالتي دايمنشنال. اليوم هيدي الكلمه could not be more truer. مالتي دايمنشنال ودايمنشنز وكل شيء. So our guest اليوم, she is a very talented person. She is a person that represents a role model for young girls و guys و scientists إذا بدكم. So ضيفتنا لليوم هي دكتور رانا نيكولاس.
Hi Yahya, how are you? Thank you for this introduction. Now I feel honestly overwhelmed and a bit intimidated. It's a huge introduction.
So Dr. Rana, she obviously has a PhD in physics. She's also a yoga instructor and an astronaut.
Oh, let me stop you there. I'm not an astronaut. I participated in a TV show. I'm not an astronaut, just to make sure things are clear.
Yeah. Doctor, you've influenced a lot of young people's lives as a teacher or as a yoga instructor. وحتى you have a background in camping كمان.
Yeah, I was in Scouts for like 11 years or 12 years. So.
Oh, wow. قد هيدي الكومبو الغريبة كيف فيك تلخصي لنا إياها in a way where it sounds related لبعضها؟
You know, in Lebanon, عنا هيدي unfortunately mentality إنه we have to excel in one thing and fit بستاندردز معينين. يعني this or that and how the successful measurements تبع society and we have to fit. So growing up, I was trying to fit. كرمال هيك I was always good at school. I was always يعني عندي scientific curiosity. بس بعدين as I grew older وهون الماتوريتي بتبلش تجي وهي مهمة. You realize إنه being happy is as important and balancing things out. So finding this balance is very important. فهون بلشت إذا بدك my quest to see how can I find my balance. Where is my balance? What can make me happy and successful at the same time? And I think this is why I went into different things.
حلو. Do you ever get bored of your physics background every day?
No, not at all. I love physics. Actually, it's one of the majors يمكن لأقل شيء فيها تكون boring لأنه it's a very interesting يعني major. It's a very interesting area in science لأنه كيف كل شيء بيشتغل around you has a physics background. So إذا بدك to keep the interest you can. بس unfortunately نحن ما عم نشتغل بس science and there's a lot of other things that go around the job وقت تكون أنت in academics. Yes, you can get let me call it tired, not bored. And this is where something else دايما شيء مهم لتضلك fresh لحتى ما تصير أنت مع your students بعدين when you're tired وقت أنت خلاص you're full بتبلش تعطي أقل. So if you don't want to get there, if you want to stay as energetic, as giving للتلاميذ لازم تكون يعني refilling your own energy بمحل تاني. And this is where for me yoga came in.
Interesting. Well, definitely إذا لاحظت بلشنا نحكي balance وما balance يعني already فتنا بخواريط الفيزيكس دغري. I personally have a minor in physics.
John can testify your interest in physics.
100%.
هول كم كورس اللي أخذهم بالAUB.
كم كورس؟
طوشنا فيهم.
كم كورس؟
Apparently بتعبينه
They
أكتر
enriched him a lot.
Honestly, it was a very interesting major to do. I ended up doing a minor and switched to psychology for كل صراحة great purposes to get into medical school. But no, definitely one of the most interesting topics I've ever taken is physics. Specifically, what part of physics? Astrophysics, which I think you'll be familiar with.
Okay, so you liked astrophysics a bit more.
Yeah.
So Anna, personally, my own research, my own PhD is in nanotechnology. It's not in astrophysics. But I've always had an interest. But sometimes لنكون كتير realistic لأنه فينا نطلع هلا ونحكي مثل ما أنت هلا you were super transparent قلت لي أنا I switched for grades because I needed the grades. Sometimes we have to choose wisely. So when I chose my PhD, I knew that a job in astrophysics might be a bit more challenging while nanotechnology and experimental physics has more options career-wise. فمش دايما our decisions are super idealistic. They have to relate to real life, to real challenges بعدين. But it was always a passion. So yeah.
100%. No, كمان يعني with I'm going to start residency هلا in ophthalmology. اللي فيها شقفة من الفيزيكس لأنه فيها optics وخاصة
definitely.
laser و laser procedures rely heavily on physics و the optics part of physics.
So your minor now is gonna come in
yeah,
handy.
it's gonna come in handy. Yeah.
But you guys are multidimensional as well. يعني اسم الله عليكم. I teach a lot of pre-med students, so I know medical students ما عندهم وقت يعملوا anything else. So pulling off this podcast is عن جد hats off, guys.
Thank you.
أنا ناطر لأشوف أمتى الكيمستري ماينر تاعتي بتنفعني بحياتي. بس ما شكله جاي هذا اليوم.
بدك تقلبها breaking bad يعني مش شكل. Not yet.
وردي بس. رنا إذا فيك تخبرينا شوي your love for nature. يعني you're someone who بعتقد أنا people who do camping و scouts actually كتير بيصير عندهم هيدي العلاقة الحلوة مع الطبيعة ومع الفيزيكس ومع كذا كله nature related. how much do you feel this oneness with nature, especially إنه أنت you do yoga كمان meditation.
So as I said قبل حكيتك عن الانرجي and our energy can get depleted with everyday life وكلنا I think هون we lead very fast lifestyles. So energy, my energy I recharge it in nature. For me that's what nature is. You need to ground yourself يعني disconnect من كل هال fast paced things. Unfortunately I don't do it as much as I would want to. But when I do it I get to recharge and sometimes I need to do it. So you need to disconnect. recharge yourself and nature is a perfect place to do that.
So مثل ما كنتي عم تقولي على oneness with nature. Do you still teach yoga?
Actually starting November this year I applied for a yoga teacher training school. So now I have an academy for teaching yoga.
Wow.
I stopped teaching yoga as course as like just sessions. Instead I have teacher training courses. And it's mostly based in Gulf. So I do a lot of teacher training courses in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. And I think it has like more pleasure to it than teaching regular sessions because those who commit to a course, they love yoga, they have the right passion and they have the right commitment, which you don't necessarily find in sessions. So for me, this was a huge step. I love it. It's a major business for me now. It's my own small business that I do in parallel with my academic work. And as I said before, it helps me find the balance. So yeah, I still teach
people
yoga.
really need this in this fast-paced society. يعني نحن بنضلنا نحكي إنه كيف في ways للواحد يحسن his mental health أو her mental health. This is like the perfect way كمان.
You know Yahya, I've used yoga a lot in my teaching بالجامعة. So I told you before أنا بعلم pre-med students and these are the people who burnt out. We were just talking قبل ما نبلش السيشن. They're stressed, they are burnt out and ما تتخيل قد ايه بستعمل techniques من my yoga على my students and they work. They need to calm sometimes. بكون بالصف في عندي student بقلب الفحص عملت anxiety attack. I always use yoga techniques on them. I can testify
to her composure.
So, no, but it does help. You can implement yoga in a physics classroom. As weird as this sentence يعني might come off, but you can definitely
It's interesting though, لأنه في كتير a lot of teachers or professors don't really take this into consideration. مع كل احترامي للجميع يعني بس إنه لا.
في different teaching styles definitely. So.
لازم نبقى شيء event كبيرة على صعيد الجامعة عن اليوغا.
Like I remember yoga needs flexibility. ما اختلفنا عمل تايكوندو بس أنا يعني
لا it's for everyone. It's for everyone. There's something for everyone. يعني.
أكيد مش أنا وأنت يعني.
No way.
No. It's for everyone, guys. Trust me.
No, but that's a good idea. That's a really good idea, honestly.
أنا بحس physics and medicine do converge بكذا شيء غير موضوع ophthalmo مثلا والlenses. I was reading the other day شيء very interesting about MRI. So the imagery technique بتعتمد. There was a physicist. This physicist was interested in gas clouds. And he wanted to see if they don't radiate, how can I detect them? So اللي عمله هو إنه اكتشف إنه صار في radio إنه these clouds actually give off radio waves.
Okay.
So you give them this electromagnetic field and the nucleus of the atom resonates depending on which atom it is and depending on the mass تعولة. So إجا another guy who is a biomedical technician وقال إذا I can make atoms resonate why can't I use this model اللي هو electromagnetic resonance واعتمدوا حتى شوف different tissues resonating in the body, and that's how MRI was born يعني.
Yeah.
Which is
it
one of
actually
the
works on
arguably the best
the
techniques
spin
of
up and spin down of each atom. So every atom has a spin up and a spin down. It has some magnetic properties. It's safe. أهم شيء إنه it's safe. It's not like X-ray because we're working on the magnetic resonance on the spin up, which is an intrinsic property of each atom. مش بس ال MRI. If you think about it, في كتير اشياء بتستعمل بال medical field. The fundamentals تبعها they come from physics. Everything from X-rays to ultrasounds to
أهين
CT
شيء
scans
بس
to
حتى
PET
MRI safer than
scans.
CT scans.
قبل كل هدول الإبرة.
yeah exactly the pressure so ما فينا يعني definitely physics موجود بالmedical field وهلا recently we have to acknowledge إنه medical field كله is changing. عم يفوت عنا robotics, عم يفوت عنا nanotechnology. So this is another thing we can discuss لأنه my research is purely related to the medical field while I'm a physicist. So nanotechnology is now going to change the game يعني من هلا لا I don't know 20 30 years it's gonna change. So ما فينا نقول إيه physics is not there. not only this يعني مثلا my students دايما بيسألوني why do we have to take 2 physics courses. I think you're familiar with that question and the idea is the reason تلاميذ بياخدوا those physics courses because they need analytical minds, problem solving minds. If you have a doctor, memorizing all the books in the world alone is nothing. You have to break down a bigger problem into smaller bits and pieces and find a logical solution. And that's what you train your mind to do when you study physics.
Very true. Yeah. I think we actually need more than that because the number of times I've seen someone, let's say, العلامات 100 out of 100, but then when they reach clinical years, they struggle. They eventually do well, but they struggle أول شيء because they need that way of analyzing or thinking outside the box.
The analytical skills need like everything else. You train those skills. So if physics is one way to do it.
100%. نزيد physics courses.
هلا بتعمل لي مشكلة.
هلا اثنين وعم ينهاروا كيف إذا.
Exactly.
عن جد physics is very interesting. It's in every part of our lives. It's very fun. يعني حتى بتضلك انت تكب علي interesting physics facts. كب لك شي واحدة.
لازم فكر لي بشي واحدة. انت بتحطني on the spot بعدين يلا كب لك شي واحدة. انا بيجوا spontaneously مثل الكوتس.
هو مشهور انه بيعطي quotes.
Every episode ثابت عن بعض. ثابت. Pure random.
Septis was exactly the same, but she used to call them metal theta. You can call them ghosts.
Theta energy.
I have a question since you brought up like nanotechnology and everything because a lot of people were talking about nanotechnology and for example vaccines, for example COVID vaccine. A lot of speculations that I've seen firsthand from patients, from people who wanted to take their shots, the Pfizer shots or any other Moderna شو ما كانت تكون COVID vaccine, they were actually extremely worried and skeptical. So would you like to enlighten us شوية على الموضوع؟
هلا the nanotechnology word كتير broad يعني anything that goes down in size small enough فينا نسميه nanotechnology. Everyone بيعمل botox and fillers. This is based كتير على nanotechnology. So خلينا نعرف no, what are we saying? What do we mean with nanotechnology? Unfortunately في كتير عالم عندها conspiracy theory موجودة. Okay, we can nurture that or we can scientifically say that I don't think anyone is interested يعرف هن وين شو عم يعملوا كل الوقت. This is my personal
ما هيك أنا هيك بشوفها يعني.
We have an overestimated sense of importance. فلا نانو تكنولوجي موجودة in medication اليوم أكيد موجودة in قصص بوتي أكيد موجودة أكتر حتى هلا بثيرابوتيك and like imaging definitely. بس شو يعني نانو تكنولوجي عم حط لك small robot عم يعمل لك tracking أكيد لا. So يعني we need to be more scientific.
Sorry guys بعرف كنتم متأملين.
Yeah, people hope.
We're not that important, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's safe for you. One of the patients I say حدا كان جاي على vaccination center. Weirdly enough, I had seen like the idea, let's say that he proposed. He came up to me and he was like, حكيم بدي اسالك I want to ask you something. قلت له go ahead. زيك بعد الفاكسين اذا بحط تليفوني هون بيعلى جرب ورجع خبرني.
I think TikTok لازم يتخفف and Instagram whole a lot of those problems will be solved.
بس على فكرة هيدا مش حقول ignorance بس إنه هيدا ال misconception
صح misinformation honestly
has been present throughout the history لأنه تخيل قديه simple understanding of physics في يغير لك your perception. يعني مثلا كريستوفر كولومبوس كان في مجموعة native هنود حمر للجماهير. So he wanted to go to Spain و he needed resources بس ما كان عنده شيء بكفي فقال خليني اتفاوض مع native Americans حتى يعطوني ال resources تبعهم. راح لعندهم قال لهم كل شيء مجمعينه للوينتر بدي اياه. قالوا له انه سوري ما عندنا شيء اكسترا. هني that particular tribe كانوا يعملوا بس حاجتهم ما كانوا يعملوا شيء زياده. So قال لهم ثاقبت على حظه انه بعد اسبوع كان في lunar eclipse. His understanding of هيدا الشيء قال لهم انه اذا ما حتعطوني in 1 week حيختفي القمر حيصير لونه احمر وربي اقوى من ربكم وشوفوا شو حيصير فيكم. عشان هيك في صور بتلاقيها مرسومه انه عم يعبدوا له كريستوفر كولومبوس من وراء هيدي الانسيدنت بالذات.
I've never knew this incident. Nice information to know.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I never knew انه كان في actually.
Science is powerful. Science is power. Knowledge is power.
طلعت الكوت منيح.
شو اللي خلاكي تفوتي بهذا الشو اللي هو The Astronauts؟
Okay. So actually I got contacted by the team. يعني هن كانوا عم بيحضروا لشو. الشو كان عم ينعمل in parallel مع ال whole space program يلي موجود ب UAE. فكان عم ينعمل in parallel يعني you know to motivate the young people ليفرجون because ما فيك تروح أنت مع ال real astronaut تشوف شو الترينينجز اللي بيعملون. These things are confidential. So أفضل شيء كان إنه ينعملوا بcontext a TV show. So usually بالastronauts شو بيدوروا إنه حدا عنده scientific background because هن بيطلعوا على الانترناشنال سبيس ستيشن وبيعملوا experiments أو حدا pilot أو test يعني أو يعني military pilot لأنه بدك كمان people who can operate machinery.
مظبوط.
But at the same time بدك حدا scientist who has good physical abilities. لأنه يعني a job of an astronaut بدها physical abilities. Your body need to يعني sustain high gravity, high G. Your body has to sustain all those changes وتكون ب micro gravity environment مثل ال ISS. So because of my yoga, this duality اللي حكينا عنها قبل, my yoga and my physics, because في كتير physics وفي كتير science. So this duality هي اللي خلتهم to contact me. And for me it was definitely we're going to go to NASA, we're going to train, we're going to go to Russia. So it was interesting. So I said
Did
yes.
you expect إنه توصل للfinalists يعني? Did you have that confidence in yourself?
لا, no, but I'm very competitive. يعني yes and no. No لأنه دايما unfortunately I think it's كمان more of a girls thing. Women tend to suffer from something called imposter syndrome. Usually it hits women 80% أكتر من men, where we always feel we're not enough, we're not good enough regardless. I had this feeling إنه really ليه حكيوني أنا في كتير عالم كتير أحسن كتير أقوى. So I had that in the back of my head سري كل الوقت up till the last episode. بس بذات الوقت I know how competitive I am. يعني I can switch off and يصير حدا تاني when I'm in a competition. يعني the strength you get inside وقت يخلص بتطلع أنه I did this بريجولر context ما فيك تعمله. So I was hoping for it بس أكيد كنت hesitant كل الوقت إنه
أنا I knew you ثابت لما كانوا بلشوا يطلعوا الابيسود. So أنا I remember you were very confident يعني وحتى الناس كتير حبوكي وكنتي عفوية وسبونتينيوس وبنفس الوقت confident وcompetitive ويعني you resemble this powerful woman. يعني بعرف هلا انت عم تقولي you're being humble يعني.
لا بس دايما الواحد in the background يعني you learn how to show one thing even if you're hesitant. I think we all do صح؟ يعني when you're tired بتفرجي انك قوي, when you're not sure بتفرجي that you are.
هيدا هول الاشياء اللي نحن بنشجع عليها. للاسف المجتمع عم يتحول العالمي لشيء اكثر بيشجع الويكنس instead of strength. او هيدا موضوع تاني. By the way نحن ما عاش بنخاف انه to be cancelled لانه apparently people will حيهاجموك شو ما تقول يعني.
Yep. So
ليه you got
لا أبدا.
أبداً.
نحن كنا
Okay.
بالحلقات اللي قبل نتجنب نفوت بsensitive topics.
okay I see.
way too much.
okay
So صرنا بعدين إنه
لا
هلا يعني
if you
نحكي
edit a
بالحقيقة.
lot you have no content left يعني.
100%.
Exactly.
فصار uncensored الشو يا جماعة.
مبروك. So one of the things you were talking about لأنه you were saying that astronauts need كمان some physical capabilities. I remember watching some videos about the topic. One of them was like, you know, one of the worst things that can happen to an astronaut if they don't actually train while they're in space is muscle atrophy.
Definitely.
Because you don't have gravity around you. ما أنت كيف بتخلي like your legs to at least يحملوا the weight of your body? It's because you have weight. You don't have weight there. ما عندك وزن. So
yeah so for sure even if you train you're gonna lose some muscle and bone, even bones
كمان.
okay so astronauts على ال International Space Station مجبورين يعملوا 2 hours of heavy exercising وفي limit لقد ايه فيهم يطلعوا يعني ما في يطلع astronaut 3 years because this would completely affect your body. بس the fact that we have this lab the International Space Station up كتير مهم because تخيل انت بلا gravity a lot of things can happen differently. So مثلا هلا في experiments on cancer treatment for example في experiment on how cells divide etc on the International Space Station لأنه جسمنا كله operates ب a gravity setting. يعني وقت عم اقول لك ب gravity setting just a very simple example your heart is a pump right
مزبوط.
that works against 1G. What do I mean by 1G? 9.8 something pulling you down with 9.8. When you go with a rocket, you reach 4G or 5G, okay? So يعني as if you're pulled down be 5 times more. شو يعني pulled down be 5 times more? يعني the blood is also pulled down towards your leg. So the pump بدها تشتغل أسرع. That's why مثلا أنت مجبور الهارت يكون عم يشتغل أسرع. وصلت على ISS it's the opposite. So all of this affects كيف الجسم عم يشتغل. That's why it's important you know we have the ISS we have those things because the whole body من bones ل muscles ل blood can change there. So maybe even diseases can be treated differently there. وهو there are ongoing experiments يعني بال ISS.
هلا كونك شفتي كذا سبيس ستيشن ناسا وشي برشا ومحمد بن راشد سبيس سنتر how do you compare the technology بكل واحد؟
ليك الراشنز مهضومين they have this theory. وقت أنا كنت برشا كان بعد ما في ال new program in the US. Okay, so up till now كان بعدهم the Americans عم يبعتوا astronauts with the Russian shuttles because you know the incidents يلي صاروا بالAmerican Space Shuttle System 2 انفجروا فصار في كتير public opinions against انه يضل طلبوا منهم يعملوا كل هول renovations واجا سبيس اكس راحوا عملوا يعني اذا بدك خصخصوا راحوا على البرايفت سيكتور مع سبيس اكس لانه خايفين من الببليك اوبينيون بيكوز الشاتل سيستم اللي قبل صار فيه 2 incidents. فكان عندك 30 to 40 years كانوا الاسترونوتس عم ينبعثوا ثرو رشا. وقت انا كنت هونيك كان بعد ما صار سبيس اكس اوبريشنال سو كان even the American astronauts go to Russia. So for example one condition كان انه all astronauts have to be speak Russian حتى الامريكان ones.
Wow.
You know politically speaking this is a big statement Russia. بس كيف التكنولوجي تبع الراشن because I've been inside the capsule it's called the Soyuz so we've been wearing the suits and inside if it works don't change it. So the last time the technology changed was in the 60s, you know. It's funny. It's a very old capsule. It's a very old technology, but it works. They never had an accident. They did not change it. The Americans, on the other hand, they keep on developing. Now this is good and this is good. Yani, both have advantages and disadvantages.
I think Russians have tapped into a very important lesson, which is simplicity is key. Because the simpler you have these things, like حتى يعني بالسيارات the more technology you have in your car, the more likely it is to break down compared to older cars. أكيد مش عم بحكي من ناحية الانجن يعني I'm talking from the inside.
لا I agree it's very philosophical. If it works don't change it.
Don't change it.
The whole modern world اليوم كل يوم بده يعمل شيء جديد ويغير your phone is faster and smaller. If it works don't change it.
This is loosely related to an idea كنت عم فكر فيها وعندي نكتب كمان عن Russian technology حولها بعد ما خلص. So do you know إنه قصة إنه ما غيروا كذا do you know أنت إنه the pyramids اللي هن a huge structure Do you know how long it took civilization to make a larger structure? Can you guess?
The next largest structure after the pyramids is the Eiffel Tower.
Wow.
But how much time is there between both?
More
I don't
than
know.
4,000 years.
Wow.
هالقد.
It took human beings حتى they rediscovered this technology وقرروا إنه يعملوا شيء structure of this
I mean, like
magnitude.
everyone has this huge conspiracy theory about no aliens helped.
Regardless صار في شيء إنه راحت هيدي التكنولوجي
صح.
و it took a lot of time to rediscover it بس they had it يعني مش ضروري من aliens يعني هنحكي عن aliens
hard
شوي
work, slavery, several things.
100% something along those lines.
قبل ما ينهار الاتحاد السوفيتي كان في سيارات اللادا الروسية
بفوت بالحيط تطلع متنة
ما بينتزعوا by the way
أبداً.
ما بينتزعوا.
هي
So one of the Russian government heads of government بوقتها قال أكتر شيء ارتحت فيه بس نهار الاتحاد السوفيتي إنه صار في اطلع بسيارة فيها مكيف.
They don't look for comfort. By the way, the Soyuz, it's a small capsule يمكن قد هود الصفتين فيها 3 astronauts squished in like that. And
this is
now when you watch the SpaceX شايفين how nice.
it's
the suits,
luxurious يعني
even the suits like they're so fancy. I've been in a Russian suit.
مطبوع عليها لوي فيتون.
But Russian suits it's ugly and heavy and the space ship is like really you have to be like this the whole duration. So they don't care about comfort. I can agree on that.
It reflects the philosophy that they have. اللي هي نابعة من الكوميونيزم وهيدا الشغلة. Whereas the Americans عندهم capitalism.
History is everything. يعني it حتى impacts the decisions هلا كيف عم يشتغلوا الأشياء as you said.
Very true. Did you ever do the gravitational force test?
Centrifuge.
The centrifuge, yeah.
Cool. Yes. So actually we were put inside the centrifuge. That was in Russia. And the
God.
profile that you will feel is exactly the same profile your heart will feel if you're going on an actual Soyuz, okay? So you start with 1G, then you go to 3G, then to 3.5. So again 3G يعني gravity عم بتشدك لتحت. So معقول to faint. كتير معقول واحد يغيب عن الوعي. So we have something بإيدنا إذا فلت يعني نحن غبنا عن الوعي. They stop the whole experiment. بس مش هون هو دايما كان في بالchallenges something surprise كاين نحن بقلب السنترفيوج وعم يبرم فيك بلشوا mental math questions.
No way.
So بلشوا simple like 12 plus 8 okay fine simple.
أنا هلا عم فكر فيه.
Then بلشوا x and y equation to it's like are you serious? أنا ما عم فكر إذا قلبي
قدام مش واصل
حيوقف.
على دماغك يعني أصلاً.
Exactly because you need to operate كان له كل شيء كان له a reason because you need to operate properly even under stress and hard conditions. So that was the whole.
كان لازم يطعموكم صحن فاصوليا وتتست your mental math ساعتها. بس wow it's very exciting صراحة.
It was fun stressful but fun.
The only thing that's comparable by the way to the centrifuge is بحذر شو Formula 1.
Yeah.
عارف yeah.
We did it before the centrifuge
You
as
did?
preparation.
Oh really? Wow.
They did it for us as preparation in Dubai. That was in Dubai, not
It's
in
a bit different because Formula 1 drivers the blood doesn't pool in the legs, it pools on one side.
Because
so it's as if
you are doing a rotation
on the rotation al-Quwa. So it's as if like half of your body blacks out والتاني بيكون واعي hyper alert.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But with Formula 1 you can reach much lower G values. Yes. A similar thing to the centrifuge would be fighter pilots. So fighter pilots في شيء اسمه G-lock when they're doing these maneuvers بيقدروا يعملوا G-lock يعني بيوصلوا ل high G where they pass out and they die when they G-lock they die. So,
there's a video of fighter pilot هذا رول نحطه بالdescription by the way of a fighter pilot of a woman she's I think 30s something like that. هي وطالعة بتسمعي like they're telling her 1G 1.5 2G بتشوف actually وجهها بيصير
the old
like,
woman young
exactly
woman.
you think she's aged like 50 years and then she goes back to normal.
That's gravity
pull. Yeah.
So I've experienced 4G. It was crazy.
So to put it into perspective,
women are better at jet flying than men.
1 2 if you weigh I weigh around like 85 kilos 86 kilos تقريبا. It's as if جيت وحطيت على ظهري 3 قد This is basically
exactly.
it. On every part of your body.
Not that only, الدم كمان.
الدم
Don't
كمان.
forget the blood
the
circulation. كمان حينزل لتحت. Your pump, your heart ما حيقدر عم يشتغل صار against 3 times what it usually should do.
100%.
حتى في parabolic flights, you know, they simulate those. قبل كان you can do it for fun. يعني كان برشا you have the option to pay. It's a bit expensive and do it for fun. They simulate high G as well. We tried those. And those are bad لأنه بتطلع من high G
to low G.
to no gravity. بيرجع high G so بتطير and then تخبط على الأرض بس ب 3 times your weight.
صح.
It's crazy. But this is how they train astronauts.
So مزاجين بحس أكتر من
اسمها vomit comet.
vomit.
If that answers your question.
هاجر بكل فاصوليا يطلع.
Exactly.
هيدي اسم شي برجر.
اسمها the vomit comet.
Wow, interesting. And how did I honestly ما كتير شفت the show or like the competition? How did you like reach stages? What was your mental through that? وكيف كانوا صفوكم kind of?
So we were like 500. They did some tests and so on, and like psychological tests, athletic tests. صرنا 12, so كان في 12 contestants at the end.
Okay.
And then each episode one would go, but we will be going through a series of challenges. So كان في 3 judges. One who's actually Chris Hadfield, the Canadian astronaut.
Nice.
He's been 3 times to space. He was like the commander of the ISS one time, a very experienced astronaut. We had a psychologist because you don't want to send someone on an like
Who's
isolated space station with 6 other people and you find out he's a lunatic. So a very stable person is something they really look for, they really test. And then we had someone from Hamad bin Rashid Space Center as well as a judge. And the criteria was very similar to the criteria that is done by actual space agencies. So how do they actually pick astronauts? However, we had the chance to even go through trainings in real facilities like in NASA and in Russia. They would test your ability to work under stress, your physical abilities, your mental abilities. How fast can you learn? Because as an astronaut, regardless of your background, you're always learning new things. So what is your learning curve? How fast is that? And here I go back to what you said at the beginning. How did dual يعني إذا حدا كتير specialized in one thing, this is not very good. يعني بدك several skills بالastronaut job to survive, and this is I think what helped me. I think برات الastronauts يعني إذا بتطلع على real life. One time just before COVID, the TEDx group from Balamand contacted me for a TEDx talk, but that got cancelled because COVID started. We were working on the T person and the I person. العالم اللي بيكونوا كتير specialized in one thing. That's a PhD. Now a lot of people in academics ما حيحبوا شو رح أقول. That's a PhD. So very specialized in one thing. And then there's the T person who have a lot of skills and not necessarily super specialized. وهلا with AI, with all these things, عم ببلش conversion need from I people to T people. So yeah.
صح. I agree. أصلاً دايماً يعني حتى I've كذا مرة one of the things I did was relearn statistics and try to learn new coding like languages such as مش R بس maybe I used to know R بس رجعت على SPSS وهيك. There is no way كم مرة هذه الشغلة فادتني وساعدتني to help someone out on a paper and to get my name on that paper. It was super useful. This is أكتر شيء اللي الناس they struggle with, while it's actually pretty simple. Like if you take one course, you'll be fine.
Exactly. Get an extra skill.
100%.
True.
صح. حاسألك سؤال خارج هذا الرلم بس إنه كمان خاصه شوي. Do you think aliens exist?
يعني I'd rather say pass لأنه ما بحب جاوب شيء ما عندي enough information about. By enough information مش أنا ما عندي enough information. Us as a human we don't have enough information.
Do you rule it out decisively or not?
لا. Why? We are one planet. نحن معودين نكون كتير self-centered as a human. This is the human nature. So بس نحن one planet in one يعني orbiting around the sun. في غيرنا 8 planets or 7 إذا بتشيل Pluto, and then you have our galaxy, and then you have all other galaxies, and then you have etc. You know, so I would be kind of arrogant to rule it out, and this is how I see it. But do I know or do I believe in the UFO seeing? لا عرفت بس إنه بذات الوقت إنه ما في جاوبك على شيء أنا ماني sure about. I didn't test it. I don't know.
أنا إذا بدك فيه أجاوب شوي هذا السؤال إذا بيهمك.
تفضل.
That I as you said, I can't rule it in or rule it out. But I think you need to change the definition of alien. يعني في an alien يكون bacteria or a microbe or whatever. يعني
Life. خلينا نقول
living
an organism.
Yeah,
بس
exactly.
unicellular, multicellular has صار شيء ثاني يعني بس إنه an organism. So yeah, why not?
And we have كل هول galaxies. نحن عم نحكي on one
Exactly.
planet. Why not?
100%.
Are we that important? رجعنا على ال important point.
فبنرجع لقصة ال human arrogance إنه sometimes نحن we rule out things حتى even though there is a huge possibility, huge probability. That's why a person should keep
Open mind.
their open mind.
It's
يعني
very
صراحة.
important. Like science هلا رح ارجع ارد ال open mind على science. Science would never advance without an open mind.
صح.
وبكل project كان كتير يعني revolutionary بدنا نقول او غير شيء كان دايما في عندك هود ال opposers اللي عم يطلعوا على هيدا. That's history. يعني so you need an open mind to change, to advance.
From the very basic discovery اللي كانت إنه the earth isn't flat.
You still have people who think it's flat, by the way. They have groups.
True. للأسف.
We film it from the ISS and everything. And
Oh my God.
so, yeah, you need an open mind.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories. شو بدنا نعمل؟
100%.
Would you like to send an advice for people, for young people? You always do يعني بس إنه
Actually, as he said قبل لما تقول له اعطيني كود هيك on demand بيكونوا أصعب بيطلعوا usually in classes هيك more naturally. لا, you know one thing I think في one big issue نحن بلبنان ما كتير بنركز عليها and I advise all the youth to do. Are you happy? Because this is a question ما كتير بيسألونا إياه أهلنا when we grow up. Are you well fed? Are you well educated? But are you happy? If not, you're not a tree. You can move. You can change. Find your happiness. This is very important. ما حدا مجبور يضل stuck in a thing or a place where he's really not happy. So this is important. This is very important.
So search for your happiness and prioritize it صراحة.
Definitely, and always try to pair happy and useful. أهم شيء.
Exactly.
As you said before, يعني.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
for
for
this
being our guest.
nice
Thank
chat.
you so much.
It's يعني one of the most interesting things we've ever talked about صراحة.
صراحة.
Thank you guys.
فشل
It was
خلق
lovely
جاب
to
حدا
see you.
خصو بالفيزيكس.
Finally.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Peace guys.